Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to another live stream talking about incremental language development for Wolfram language. So we have an assorted collection of topics here. First up is GeoPositionPicker.
Right, so this is a discussion we started last week, and well, it's how to design something that selects a position in a map.
Right. Okay, so we discussed several things. We discussed having a control that is kind of slider-like, and we discussed having a thing that can be used in a form function, right?
Right.
Okay.
So something else.
Sorry,
go ahead.
What do you mean slider-like?
Well, I just mean that it has a variable called p or something, where you say GeoPosition. What does file name setter has a
something of dynamic of points.
Okay.
And then...
Well, I was confused because that's exactly what we use in form functions. So those are not two different things. We use the same interfaces, manipulate.
Fine.
So what works with manipulate would work for us.
Okay, so file setter. What is it called?
File name setter.
File name.
Okay, so this seems like a model, doesn't it? Where there's just a geoposition as the, so geoposition setter, first argument, geoposition, and then it's got all kinds of detail about. Does that seem right?
To live in the control world, yes, absolutely. Although the second argument is not going to be doing the kinds of specification that file name setter does.
No, I understand. It will be just telling you what map to show by default.
Well, what we were talking about before you arrived is that it would be like just like for slider, we design the second argument of restricted the same. In the case of geoposition, the second argument of restriction is an area. So like a georegion. So you could say geolocation picker dynamic of X, comma, United States, and you would not be able to select something in Europe. I think that what kind of map, stuff like that can be options.
I understand, but I think it should show you the US by default. But if you dynamically pan to Europe, it should still work.
Well, I disagree. I think that like you can have a starting geo range that does what you just said, but usually if you look at the design of things like slider, the second argument restricts what you can actually set the X to.
I understand that. I understand. Well, I don't see the use case for that. That's the point. I mean, the name will be geoposition setter, right? So it will be position and then region is what you're proposing. What will be the default region? The Earth.
Well, probably the default would be more like what dynamic geographics and initializes to. Why not? Like,
I think that default is wrong.
Well, I mean, but dynamic
by the way, I think the default for dynamic geographics should probably be the Earth.
This is a separate question that we've had.
I don't think I'm opposed. Mm-hmm. I was going to say we've been sort of gradually switching more and more things to whole world defaults.
Yeah. I think this default always strikes me as goofy. I'm always a little bit embarrassed when it comes up.
Well, but it's your log. I mean, I have no problem in changing to the wall because it feels natural. But this also feels natural because it's your own area. So you are typically interested in things in your own area.
Yes.
Well, I mean, on the other hand, my internet connection, I don't know, depending on what the service is, it always thinks I'm over by Peoria.
Right. And I mean, mine thinks I'm 1,000 miles away.
I mean, we could have a default to something large and then add another button next to the zoom ones that brings up this. So your local area given your GeoIP. And that would, use that
Possibility.
for both words. But
Okay,
I
go ahead.
resent the whole of US as default.
What's that?
As a European, I resent the whole of the US as a default for everyone.
No, it's stupid. Right? We don't want the US. We want the world. And as a terrestrial being, you can't complain about that. You could complain about what the centering is, but I think, the Greenwich Meridian centering is okay. Okay, so next question is it a multi-selector or is it a single selector? Do you understand my question?
Right. So locator pane can have multiple thumbs, can add thumbs at will, etc.
Right. And I kind of think that there are two cases. I think there's a geoposition setter, which is a single pick a place and be happy. And there's a locator pane type story where you're selecting multiple places and then returning them. And those seem like different actions for the cloud also, and for a form also.
Yeah, so far we have followed in the steps of file name setter, in that if you have like repeating element of image, you get only one widget, but you can upload multiple images to it. So we can do that.
So wait a minute, what does it return? Does it return an image in one case and a list of images in the other case?
Yeah, repeating element of image means a list of image.
Oh, repeating element. Oh, yeah. I see. Right, but this isn't going to work with repeating element. This is a different thing. This is, I'm going to put marks wherever I'm going to, visit on my tour of the national park or something.
Yeah, so why wouldn't that be the default controller for repeating element of geolocation?
It could be, but the question is, what's the name of that object? Right, so I'm saying geoposition setter should return one thing. Geoposition setter, well, okay, go on.
Yeah, what I was saying is that file name setter and location pane use the same symbol for both things, and I think it's a bit clunky. I think it would be cleaner to have two separate symbols.
Sorry, file name setter does what? What?
If file name setter, comma, open list lets you open multiple files and binds to a list of files.
Right. Just like locator pane can choose multiple points, there is a calling signature for file name setter where you can choose multiple files at once.
Okay. So wait a minute. So what is your proposal in the end? Two separate functions.
I think we should have two separate functions. I think that having the same symbol do two things is a little bit clunky sometimes.
Okay, so you're saying geoposition setter is the one that returns a single place, and then what's the other one?
Geoposition list setter.
Well, so then the question is, does it literally return a list of geopositions, or does it return a multi-geoposition?
Oh, right, I forgot about that.
Well, that's a reason to allow geoposition setter. If it's returning a multi-geoposition, you can deal with untangling that separately. If your code, how do you tell? Let's say your code says geodistance from this place to whatever, and it's a multi-geoposition. What does it then return? Does it return a list of geodistances?
Yes, actually a quantity array. So it does an outer of both. If you put two multi-geopositions, it will just return a matrix.
Okay. So that suggests geoposition setter returns a geoposition or a multi-geoposition, and the interface will be like locator pane, where you could do an option click or whatever it is to get an additional thumb. Right? What is it? Is it command? What is the click?
I always forget the details. And it's possible that the options to locator pane need to be set in order to allow that.
I see.
I hope that's the case, because it would be a madness if I couldn't trust its type to be consistent.
What are you talking about? What?
He's saying he doesn't want people to accidentally do a multi-form.
yeah, when it's not, I mean, in forms, it would really break things. And I'm sure it would also manipulate if you would select multiple things when you expect only one in the code.
Okay, so do we have a design here? So that it's geoposition setter, it returns either a geoposition or a multi-geoposition, but it's always a geoposition. It's never anything other than a geoposition. It's never a list of geopositions. And if you, I don't know what you do with the restrictions or how you prevent, I mean, there is an option for locator pane which determines whether you can create a new locator position or not, right?
That option is locator auto create.
Okay, well, fine. So locator auto create can be set to true, false, whatever by default, but I think this is the direction we're going. Anybody object to this direction?
I don't think so.
Okay, great. Sounds like the right thing. I
So
mean, is there anything we're not
what-
covering?
What are we deciding with the second argument? And do we want to download the polygon if there is a georegion there and display it on the map?
I see what you're saying. Okay, so the question is, the default displayed area encloses the georegion.
So we could follow what geographics does. If you write the entity, it shows the area of the entity. But if you write polygon of the entity, it starts showing actually the polygon of the
Okay,
entity.
that sounds right to me. That sounds right. That sounds like a reasonable way to do it. Because I think a lot of the time, you just say, it's going to be somewhere in Illinois. I don't need to show the border of Illinois. You know, the fact that I could get a little piece of Indiana there. Okay, if I drop my pin in a piece of Indiana, maybe it doesn't work. But I don't think we need to preciously show where the border is. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay, seems right to me. Okay, let's build it. And in terms of the appearance of the locators, I think, well, I don't know whether we maybe want to make this bigger or a different color, but I don't think you should be able to move around the marker pins. I think this is a better metaphor for what to move around. What do people think?
I mean, I don't know that I care that much what the marker looks like. You know, but I think it's very much going to be a click to place the marker as opposed to like try to drag it. Because I mean, we can probably make it work with dynamic geographics, but you know, so there's that conflict between moving the pin and moving the map.
Yes. Well, let's try moving the pin initially. Although, how does that work on you know, when you pick a, you know, like a pickup location for a ride share or something on your phone? How do you know what? That's a piece of UI. I remember that. I thought that piece of UI was really broken. Yeah, they have that issue as well.
Right. I mean, I think, I mean, it's been a while since I've tried it in like Google Maps, but I think, you know, once you have a pin, it's sort of there and you have, I mean, you can't just pick it up and move it somewhere else.
I've seen two different
I
UXs.
think right now
one-
you have to long click, right? To hard click, hard press or something, right?
Good luck on discovering that. Sorry, who was saying they've seen a couple of UXs?
Me. So one where you can drag the map and drop a pin anywhere, and then another where your location is set in the middle of the map, and you drag the map.
Oh, right. Yes. The dragging the map thing is really weird.
I agree, and especially when it's on a website, it's terrible because it hijacks scrolling as well.
Well, but on a phone, maybe there's a reason why people have that UX.
Yeah, but usually on the phone, like if you have a map on a website, usually it's bad. If you have a map within Google Maps that's all map and doesn't have any website Chrome around it, that's usually decent. But whenever I end up on a website that has a map, I want to kill myself.
Okay. Well, I think we have to build this and see what it's like. Okay, because it's going to be on a web form, but we can have some special responsive behavior there.
Yeah,
If it-
I think that the web version is already half done. That's why I called this, because WP is ahead on these controllers.
Great.
So maybe,
Excellent.
yeah, maybe you want to review that before we do the desktop version. I don't know.
Well, I think we should get this desktop version built in the way that you've built it in the 3-liner here, basically.
Right.
And let's get that built. Let's make sure it agrees with the web version, and then we're good to go.
So here the only thing is that the plus minus for the zoom is not accessible.
Oh God. Oh, well then don't let you drop the frigging pin there.
Right. I mean, I think we can
Have a
work around that
reserved
in some
area.
way.
Yeah, I think you have to have a reserved area.
I
And
see.
where, but for UX purposes, in that reserved area, there has to be a hover effect. And in fact, there should be a hover effect right now. When you go over the plus
I
minus,
thought
those
there
should-
was. Wonder why.
Yeah, but maybe it's been disabled by the locator pane.
That's possible.
Okay, but anyway, have a hover effect. Have that be a reserved area. Now, wait a minute. I'm totally confused. Okay, so then, what the heck's going on? See, as soon as I click to pan it, I'm going to move the locator. Okay, listen, I think the UX should be this, okay? I think the UX should be, it comes up initially with a locator in the middle, okay? You can, if you click away from the locator, you are just on the base map and you're panning the base map.
Mhm.
And if you pick up the locator by going to the locator, it's, kind of,
The
it highlights
focus
locator.
switches to that.
Then you pick it up and you move it somewhere. I think that's the right UX.
What about double clicking?
Well, yes, that's something we get to do on. Okay, actually, a couple of points here. So this is Ethan is complaining about multi-touch, and I thought that was finally coming. Does anybody know? In the cloud, doesn't the cloud pinch zoom and so on does now work in the cloud? Does it not? On a phone.
Wait, if you're in a form, anything that works on your browser works. So
I understand that, but if you're in a notebook, does it work?
that I don't know, but I think it doesn't concern us here with this.
No, I understand. It's a different
Not
group.
up here.
But I'm just,
mean,
but
it will
that group,
eventually.
it's worth raising that question because I thought that was a solved problem now, but I'm not absolutely certain about that. I can look on my phone here. Okay. In any case, that could, who's project managing here?
Kevin, I can ask the cloud team.
Okay. Boy, it's kind of outrageous that my cloud, this app has very old things in it. Wow. Okay. In any case, how weird. Okay, I've got a bunch of universes here. The better to NFT them or something. Oh, okay. Pinch zoom is the best zoom. And Ethan's saying it doesn't work, it only resizes the entire graphic. Oh, as opposed to zooming on a piece of it. Okay, that's a different discussion. Perhaps that can be in the user experience, user assistance meeting, if nothing else. Okay. Alcoholic here is saying drop the map and long press or double tap to place a pin. Okay, so look, the problem is we're dealing with the phone, the touch case, and the, okay, I don't think we quite have the right set of people here, but clearly, okay, I think in a browser without touch, it seems to me that this thing about, skeuomorphically pick up the pin and move it somewhere is a good UX. Now, in that case, if you're going to create a new pin, how do you do that? And for that, you might need a pin spawning point. That is, you might need something which will create a new pin. somewhere. If autolocator, whatever it is, create locator is set to true. Do you see what I'm saying? You might need a stable for pins somewhere.
We'll draw a little fence around it on everything.
Quite. Okay. But seriously, and okay, look, that case is going to be the minority case of where you can create new locators. The majority case is going to be a single locator. Okay. I mean, I do think there may be a case, for example, in some of our quizzing stuff where it says, click all countries that were neutral in World War II or something. You see what I'm saying? Where you go, what's that?
I told you it was going to be a quiz. So we were talking about this before, but so there are two options. Either you're building something where you're using geo-recognize on the location that you get out of this, but selecting a geo-region is a different thing from selecting just a point. Like you want you want it to look more like a geo-region plot, I guess.
I agree. And that is a different case. Right. I mean, GeoPosition Setter could conceivably have some option that says, don't select points, select. I mean, maybe that should be differently called. Maybe it should be called GeoRegion Setter or something, or GeoRegion.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Because it probably is different. I mean, you might want to, like selecting a whole city, a road, a country, a river.
Yep. I mean, it shouldn't be called GeoPosition if it doesn't return a GeoPosition, it doesn't bind to GeoPosition. Absolutely.
Well, so then it will be GeoRegion, but it isn't. Is it a setter?
I think so. Still, I mean, it's just setting an entity instead of.
What's the difference between setter and picker in control naming?
What pickers? Let's see, list picker, for example.
Yeah.
Oh, because setting list. I'm not certain, because this is. Anybody know? Is
No, I don't know.
I mean, you're picking, multiple things from a finite set.
Oh, I see. It's not a setter, as in. So I mean, this would be the GeoRegion setter would be modeled after GeoRegion value plot. Look, I think that's GeoRegion setter, but then what's the default? What are you doing by default? It's like, it's hard to have something which comes up with a thing, you're not
Well,
gonna.
I mean, but that, if we look at list picker, it's a 2-argument thing. There's no 1-argument form of it.
I see. So
so you would have like
I think
GeoPicker, something comma
picker.
country or
right, GeoRegion picker, and then it has the dynamic piece is the picked, is the pick list, and the second argument is either, it might be something like counties or something, or county or some such other thing, or it might be a list of entities.
Exactly.
That makes sense to me. It's kind of nice. So one of them is like an instantaneous, I mean, like if we were doing this for time, for dates, presumably we have a date picker where you can again select, you want to pick days, weeks, months, whatever, perhaps. Whereas something we probably don't have, okay, so this is an interesting analogy. We don't have instantaneous time setter, probably. We don't have a way of, you're on a timeline, pick an instantaneous time. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So which we don't need in that case. But so in the date case, it's more like a date picker. Maybe. I don't know. Date setter is presumably we have the date setter thing. Anyway, this looks right to me. GeoPosition setter, GeoRegion picker. The UX for GeoRegion picker is just going to be you click to get that region. You click again and it goes away.
Mhm.
But the list picker, you can also press Control or Shift or Alt to deselect things. So it can.
Well, I was suggesting it toggle deselects, but maybe that's wrong. I would toggle deselect.
Well, then we also have the toggler bar that does what you're talking about, but the picker doesn't do that.
I see. Well, the other problem is for the picker, you've also got the dynamic controls, like the pan control. How do you do the pan control if clicking adds an item? Okay, these are UX problems. Let's look at them separately. Maybe somebody could ask Noah if he has an idea for what to do. Okay, but I think we've got a direction here for GeoPosition setter, GeoRegion picker. Make sense?
I think so.
Okay.
So I don't think we need Lou, Carlo, and Brett for the rest of
Okay.
the meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Talk to you later.
Okay.
Thanks,
So,
guys.
Bye bye.
Stephen, I forgot to ask you to update documentation.
Okay.
Can you? Thank you. So these are three minor things. So then implemented the string take drop function. I think this had been requested by a user.
Yes.
And the design of number digit, which was called nth digit last week, has been changed to, as we discussed. And then interval
It's
member
encouraging to see that every time I do a documentation update, and I did one a few hours ago, there's a big pile of stuff that comes in.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
There's a version approaching. I'll be so happy when the DocuTools thing starts looking better after that revision is done, but that's coming soon. Okay, string take drop.
Yeah, so this was some
Pretty uncontroversial.
Exactly, yeah, following take drop and string take and string drop.
That should not indicate 10 plus since the whole thing is new.
Yeah. We copied it from take drop or string
Good
take.
to me.
Okay.
And presumably, yeah, looks good to me.
Yeah, this is one of these functions that works well with full pair and full pair list.
Right. Number digits.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so now it follows the design we discussed with powers
The
of 10.
digit corresponding to 2 to the n in the real value number x. Okay. The digit to the immediate left of the decimal point is the 0th digit. Yes, because it's the coefficient of 10 to the 0.
Right.
I just wanted to say that so people wouldn't think it was the first for some reason.
Yes, I understand. It seems to me that I would say to the coefficient of 10 to the t. Doesn't that make sense?
That's yeah. I mean, depends on whether the readership is all going to know what coefficient means. Some people might. Well, I guess they will. You don't usually think of coefficients in a number.
Well, fair enough. Okay. Turns a digit associated with.
Sure.
For the seems either one.
Or multiplying, the digit multiplying 10 to the n.
That would be fine. I mean, I don't know what people, I'm sure that in modern elementary math textbooks, they have a whole language about how all this stuff works, and I just don't know what it is.
Corresponding to is probably not a term that they use, though.
This isn't yet in the prototype build.
I don't think it is. Sorry.
Okay. Okay.
There are some examples.
Yeah, it takes you a moment to realize why this is 4, but it's good. It's right. This is the right way.
Perhaps with a smaller number, it will be clearer.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't think this is bad. Looks good to me.
Okay.
What's that third argument? Oh, the base. Is that a unique thing in that case?
What, the
golden ratio base?
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, as long as it is something bigger than 1.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, new operator form for interval member Q. That seems uncontroversial.
Yep. But here, always the problem is which one of the elements of the arguments is the one to be.
Well, what's member Q? What is member Q?
Exactly. So we follow member Q. So.
Okay, which has the interval presumably as its operator form. The interval is the argument.
No, it's the X.
No, it's the point in the point you're checking inclusion for. I could see arguments for wanting the interval though.
Seems better than I mean, member Q. Okay, so the question is, okay, in the case of member Q, what you're going to want to, it could go either way around, right?
I kind of agree that member Q, it's more natural to have the form. An interval member Q, it might be more useful to have the interval, just thinking about, inside outside testing in computational geometry.
Yes.
You don't test the same point against different regions. You test the region against points.
Exactly.
Typically.
How important do we think the consistency between those two is? I'm not sure it's that important. I think it's more important to have a useful operator form.
I agree with that. It's just how to remember. It is the sort of thing that probably requires consulting.
Let's ask around, but I think my initial take would be to have interval member Q take the interval as in its operator form.
What does between does, now that I'm thinking about?
Well, Jose, the main change would be moving an example from properties and relations to possible issues.
Okay, but the between is doing the thing that we're now proposing that interval member Q should do.
Yeah. Which is another sign that we consider this to be more useful.
Yes. Fine. I think that's what we should do.
So I'll switch them?
Yes, please
Okay.
do. Switch the interval member Q one.
Okay.
Okay, I think we should probably wrap up soon, but let's just have a quick look at, oh my gosh, there's a lot of these.
Yeah, so this is a new batch, and there are even more of high rank. So what is this rank, Danny?
Is rank bigger if it's better if it's bigger or better if it's smaller?
No, smaller, I believe. I think, yeah, top rank is 1, the most downloaded. That's my understanding. I would like
everybody wants multiple axes plot.
Yeah,
I thought Brett was delivering this. So we just have to ask Brett. Okay. Do you understand? I mean, that this we need this. Okay, face grids behind. That's another good thing. Why don't we have this right now from face grids arrow automatic or something like that? That's another thing we've got to ask Brett. Yeah, but that's something we should have. Map a function at parts of an expression that match a given pattern. Yeah, that's a useful thing too. That's basically map at with a, instead of giving, it's map at cases.
It's map at position. It's map f, x per position, x per, pattern.
No, I don't
No.
see
No,
position
I don't
as
think
the
so.
level spec.
Because cases doesn't tell you where to map. It tells you what.
Oh yeah, right. It's feeding. I'm sure implementationally, it's find the position of that pattern and then use map at on that.
Exactly. So I think this is like a map at position.
No,
No, because
it's
that's
a level
confusing.
spec.
No. You guys are talking about different things. It shouldn't be called map at position because although internally it uses position to find positions and then maps there, what it is finding is pattern matching.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, what I mean is that if we have a list with two A's and we say cases is one A, do we map at both or?
We do map to both.
At both, yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is a useful thing, right? So this is,
I mean, look at the first example. It's doing what map would do, except it's excluding the ones that don't match pattern.
yeah.
It's like,
I mean, it's
saying
like having an if there.
map if match q whatever comma pattern f comma identity function.
Oh, this is almost replaced, isn't it?
But it does it by I mean, it's doing it in a mapping kind of way, an applying function kind of way.
Right, but it's almost replaced pattern goes to f of pattern.
It is, yes. Or replace all.
Mm-hmm. Right.
No, because
No,
it's pattern, it's level spec.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's an interesting function. I think I need my lunch here, so I'm rapidly failing. But let's take a quick look at some of these others. So that one remains on the docket. I'm not quite sure what to do with it. It probably needs a slightly different name. I'm just curious what else there is here. This is green screening function. This is an important area, but I don't know whether this is, I don't know how this relates to what Brenton is doing. We should ask Brenton how this relates to that.
That's actually why the note says to Brenton for consideration.
Oh,
Just thought I'd point that out.
good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we're going to have to do this another time. To regular expression. Yeah, I mean, that's an obviously useful thing. Probably, I mean, there's a bunch of regular expression manipulation things, finite automaton generation, etc. All right, a lot of good stuff here. A lot of good stuff. All right, to be continued another time. All right. Anything else that we absolutely need to do here? Nope. Okay. Thanks, guys. Okay. See you soon.